Fourth grade, make an entry for the next 2 blank pages in your journal. We are on Module 3, Lesson 29, long division with 4-digit dividends. And our 4-digit dividends are a little bit trickier than anything you've done before, so gear up and get ready. We've got a little typo in our objective, so let's fix it as we read it. I can, take out the word use, I can long divide a dividend that has a first digit smaller than my divisor. Look at these numbers. They're moving up into the 4 digits. And what makes 4-digit division very tricky is that our divisor is oftentimes larger than the first digit in our dividend. You might be saying, what's the big deal there? Well, let's look at one together and see what you notice. Our dividend is 1,672. Our divisor is 4. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. 1 divided by 4. Okay, wait a second. 1 can't be evenly divided into 4 groups. That's a division sentence that doesn't make sense because 1 is less than 4. If 1 is less than 4, and I can't pull any groups of 4 out of that number 1, then for now, I'm going to put a 0 on my roof because it's not a possible division sentence to do. Divide, multiply. I'm going to keep going with my steps. 0 times 4 is, well, 0. Divide, multiply, and subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. All right, now I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable because 16 is a number that's divisible by 4. But do you see what I notice here? The number that I just created is the same as the first 2 digits of my dividend. Interesting. We're going to come back to that thought. Just make a mental note of it. Now that I've subtracted, I've brought down, I'm going to start the process all over again. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. 16 divided by 4 is 4. Divide, multiply. 4 times 4 is 16. Divide, multiply, and subtract. 16 minus 16 equals 0. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Let's do it again. Divide. 7 divided by 4, I can only pull one group of 4 out of the number 7. Divide, multiply. 1 times 4 equals 4. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. 32 divided by 4. 8. Because I know 4 groups of 8 makes 32. Multiply. 8 times 4 equals 32. Divide, multiply, and subtract. And I find that my remainder is 0. I know I can stop here because I've got nothing else to bring on down. Let's check our work. The numbers on the outside times the number on the inside. My quotient is 418. Even though I have this 0 here, it acts more as a placeholder than anything. I don't need to include it in my quotient. So I'm just going to write 418 as my quotient and multiply that with the number 4. 8 times 4 is 32. Regroup my 3. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. 4 times 4 is 16. Nowhere else to regroup, so I'm going to write the entire number 16 below. 1, 2, 3, whee! Since my product matches my dividend, I know I'm correct. For this next round, let's skip a step that we did the first time round. I'll show you what I mean. Our dividend is 1,578. And again, our divisor is 4. Remember last time when we looked at the first digit, we noticed that 1 was not large enough to divide. So we put a placeholder 0 up there. But after we did that step, we basically just took the number 16, the first 2 digits, and we just dragged it down and started the process over. Let's save ourselves some time here. Instead of using a placeholder 0, if I notice that my first digit is not large enough to divide, I'm going to look at the first 2 digits instead, and I'm going to combine them into one number. Instead of asking what's 1 divided by 4, I'm going to ask what's 15 divided by 4. The closest math fact that I can do is 3 groups of 4. Now, because I'm using the number 15 instead of 1, when I put 3 on my roof, I'm going to make sure that I line it up with the end of the number 15, like this. It's like having the placeholder 0 there without actually writing the 0. I still want to leave a space open. Divide, multiply. 3 times 4 is 12. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide, 37 divided by 4. I can pull out 9 groups of 4 from that number without going over. Divide, multiply. 9 times 4 is 36. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down. And bring it on back. Divide. 18 divided by 4. The closest I can get to 18 is 4 groups of 4. Multiply. 4 times 4 equals 16. Divide, multiply, and subtract. 18 minus 16 equals 2. Bring it on down. Nothing left to bring down. That means my number left over is my remainder. Notice how much shorter my problem is in comparison to the one I did first. That's because I skipped that step of using a placeholder 0 and went straight for the 2-digit number. Let's check our work and see if that worked out for us. 394 is our quotient times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 9 times 4 is 36, plus 1 more, 37. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 more is 15. That doesn't match what I started with, so I have to add back my remainder. 6 plus 2 is 8. 7, 5, 1. 1, 2, 3, whee! And now I notice that my product matches my dividend, and I got it correct. So we realize that we can get the same correct answer, but skip that first step of putting 0 on the roof. So let's try that strategy again. This time our dividend is 2,464. Our divisor is 4. Just like in my last 2 problems, I notice when I start with my divide, multiply, and subtract, bring it on down and bring them on back, I can't divide 2 divided by 4. 2 is not divisible by 4. If I only have 2 fingers, I can't split these 2 fingers into 4 groups. So if this number is smaller than my divisor, then I'm going to look at the first 2 digits together. And I'm going to ask myself, what's 24 divided by 4? And that's 6. Remember to line that number up like you have a placeholder in front of it. We want it to line up with the second digit since we're using the first 2 digits instead of just the first one. Multiply. 4 times 6 is 24. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down. And bring it on back. Divide. 6 divided by 4. I can only pull one group of 4 out of the number 6. Divide, multiply. 1 times 4 equals 4. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down. And bring it on back. Divide. 24 divided by 4. We did that math fact already. 24 divided by 4 is 6. Multiply. 6 times 4 is 24. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down. Oh, nothing to bring down. That means that we have no remainder and our quotient is 616, or so we think. Let's multiply the outside, see if we get the inside. Six times 4 is 24. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. 4 times 6 is 24. 1, 2, 3, whee! My dividend and my product match. All right, let's try it one last time. Our 4-digit dividend this time is 1,848. Our divisor, knocking on the door, is 3. Since I notice 1 is smaller than 3, I already know I'm going to have to look at those first 2 digits. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. 18 divided by 3. There are 6 groups of 3 in 18. Divide, multiply. 3 times 6 equals 18. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. 4 divided by 3. Well, that's only one group of 3. Divide, multiply. 1 times 3 is 3. Divide, multiply, and subtract. 4 minus 3 is 1. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. 18 divided by 3. Again, we know that math fact. 18 divided by 3 is 6. Divide, multiply. 6 times 3 is 18. Divide, multiply, and subtract. 18 minus 18 is 0. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down, and there's nothing to bring down. So that's where we stop. Let's check our work. We're going to multiply our quotient. Look at that. We got the same quotient 2 times in a row. Times our divisor. That makes me really sketched out. Let's see if we still get our answer correct. 6 times 3 is 18. 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 1 more, 4. 3 times 6 is 18 again. 1, 2, 3, whee! And our product is 1,848. Yet again, we are correct. It is time for us to practice this skill in our problem set today.